Today, Dave and I have this 4052R in here to add some hydraulics to it. Third function, we've got a special switch we're going to be adding to this one. We have a power beyond, and like every hydraulic situation, it seems like there's always a twist. Let's get started. Dave, first thing that I see on this tractor is it's already got a third function on it, this WR long third function kit. And that's already complicated my plans.
Yes, it has.
We needed to put a power beyond on to be able to do the Summit rear kit. But the WR long was already connected.
Right, took some of our connections.
We've looked through this, been talking about this for quite some time, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And so what we've decided to do is make a new hose to come out of the WR long kit and go all the way to the back to be the input to the power beyond. And this way, we think we can make it a lot cleaner.
Right, no connections in the middle, just a single hose all the way to the rear. It'll look clean. It limits our leak points, so, because every connection's a potential leak, so if we got less connections.
And just some basic hydraulics here again. These open center systems are just a big loop. The pressure comes and then through an entire loop to every valve in the entire hydraulic system and then back to the tank.
Yep.
So in order to put our power beyond, all we need to do is break that loop somewhere.
Right.
And connect in to basically extend that loop. So that's what power beyond means, and that's what we have to do. So it's not any particular place that you have to connect into the existing hydraulics.
You can break into it anywhere, well, it has to be pressure side though, right?
There has to be one pressure and then one return. So basically the pressure side is the entrance side of the loop and the return is the outside, right? And really that's all there is to it. Well, the WR long had already connected into the factory prepared third function or power beyond ports, right, to use for the third function, which is fine. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's what's made it difficult for us. Now, let's talk about this switch that we got to put on. The customer wants to be able to run his third function full time.
Right.
Maybe a post hole digger.
In a hold open situation, I think you'd say it, right?
A maintained switch instead of a momentary switch, right? So maybe he's running a mower on the front, maybe he's running a post hole digger where he doesn't want to have to hold his thumb on it the whole time, right? So what we've got in mind is we're going to try to wire this in parallel. We're going to leave his third function switch alone, functionally, and allow that to be a momentary switch. So if he wants to use his third function normally, he can do that. And then we're going to add a second switch right here in these factory slots or whatever, these knockouts here, to be able to use the maintain function. So if he wants to leave it on all the time, and it'll flip either way. We're going to wire it in parallel. I'll show you my fancy diagram here, how that's going to go. But it's taken us a little time.
A little bit of time. Wiring always seems to be kind of, same thing with the hydraulics, right? It's just the understanding it's simple, but then it kind of gets complex to actually put it into practice. Because you could be like, oh, I'll just throw power here and ground here. Well, that doesn't work because it's already got power and ground there, so you've got to kind of make it flow. So
now, Dave, I actually have a bigger problem here. This is a tractor, but I've got a big problem.
What's your big problem?
My major problem is that I had a commenter yesterday said he would no longer watch Tractor Time with Tim videos unless Dave was in them.
What was that guy's username?
Oh, what do you want to do? Send him $10, or did you already send him $10?
No.
That's probably what happened.
I'm just curious if it was somebody I know.
And so I'm nervous. I'm feeling threatened. You know, I'm feeling like you're going to take over the star power of this show.
But I feel like I got some clout. I can borrow tractors now.
Yeah, I think maybe you can. So you know, he followed on by saying he was going to start a lobbying group that said it couldn't be TTWT. It had to be TTWT&D.
That just gets too long. The flow is good. TTWT just kind of rolls off the tongue. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do about this, but I am genuinely concerned about this development, and I hope it doesn't have a groundswell of support here.
I hope it does. Let's leave some more comments like that in the comments. Upvote them. It'll be fun.
Master electrician over here.
Oh yeah. Yep. When I'm not working on big trucks and moonlighting as a tractor mechanic, I'm also a journeyman electrician.
What don't you do, Dave? Windows?
There's not much I don't do.
So on the hydraulic hose front, the power part, or the pressure side of the Power Beyond, would connect up in here. And that's where the WR long function, third function kit is connected. I'm looking up just inside the right fender with the camera right now. May not be able to see it perfectly, but it's up in there. We're going to leave that connection alone. So the pressure side comes down this line right here and comes into the WR long third function right here. It's going to go through that valve and come out right here. Notice I've already disconnected that. That's where that's going to come out. And that's where we're going to put a new hose on. The original hose was connected here and came right back here to the return port. And there's the return port that's open right there. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to take the return line and route it from right up here all the way back to the back of the tractor. I'll slide around here. I'm going to connect it right into here. So it's going to be the pressure side of our Power Beyond kit. Then we'll take the return side of the Power Beyond and use the Summit supplied hose to run it right down here and go right into the return. So in a sense, we're just plumbing ourselves, just putting ourselves into that big loop just between the third function and the return. From the electric side, this is the diagram we're aiming for. The top part up here already exists. We have power coming to the joystick. There's a switch in the joystick. It can switch either way momentarily. So meaning while you hold it down, it can either be switched to this wire or to this wire. So two wires running to the actual third function, one for one direction and one for the other, right? So, and then a ground off of that. So this exists today. Power comes to the joystick, the switch can go either way to the third function. What we're adding is, believe it or not, a separate power line, because we just don't want to bother this. We don't want any more connections in here. We'll leave that alone. We want to keep that reliability. We're going to have a separate power connection to our maintained switch, and it can go either direction as well. And then we're actually going to wire that up to the joystick and connect it together to these two wires so that power can come from either our maintained switch or the joystick switch. So it's kind of a parallel, well, it is a parallel connection that either way can supply the power to the solenoids down here to open and close the cylinder that the third function is controlling. What you doing, Dave?
We are heat shrinking the wire connections, and we're using a heat gun to do it. The heat gun gives nice solid heat to it, and it's not as in danger of burning your wires like using a lighter would, or some people use those big blow torches.
Yeah.
Now
you're in the joystick handle.
Yeah. I don't see any harm to do it in there. The connections are already on, and actually the connections we're using has heat shrink all the way down the connection, so doing this allows it to all just be nice and solid and should never have any issues.
Yep. Yeah, that makes good sense. I think making that connection in there is going to be safe. That's going to be good.
Yeah. And so all we got to do is just kind of fold these over and get them back inside of the handle.
That looks like a little bit of a challenge because they're sticking out towards you there.
Because of the heat shrink, they stick out pretty good, but I think that we've got enough room in that handle, we can make it work. They got theirs in there. I'm sure we can get ours in there.
Yeah, worst case, I guess you could bend those tabs up a little. Well, at least one of them. I don't know.
Well, we can bend that and bend those, and we'll make it work.
What you doing, reconnecting the battery?
Yep.
Okay, we'll see if we got this switch still working. Yep.
Sounds good.
So this is the other end of those wires that you just connected in there.
Yep.
So we've got power up, power down, or whatever like that. And then you've got power from, you found power in here from
Yes, there's actually, it's a labeled third function control. It's got a hot and a ground. I used that for our two switches for the Summit kit. And then I'll use the power off of it for our, what are we calling that?
Maintain
Continuous
switch,
flow
yeah.
switch, maintain switch.
Yeah, and so we haven't even talked about the Summit kit yet. The Summit kit should be pretty normal.
This is, I've done like 3 or 4 of these at this point, and this has by far been the most like close to factory install we've done. So
Well, maybe. I mean, I'm having to make this hose
Well,
from the WR long. So from an electric standpoint.
I'm talking from an electric standpoint, yeah.
Yep. Speaking of which, I better get back to my hydraulics. Got my first crimp done. It's perfect, just like always. It surprises me how good of a job these crimpers can do. The 1/2-inch hose, I mentioned in the last episode that I hadn't used a 1/2-inch hose yet. Well, I'm using a 1/2-inch hose now. This is in the big hydraulic loop, right? So we do not want to limit that flow, especially in a 4 Series tractor. Told you last episode about the crimper special. I had a few questions about it. One of the questions was, how long is it going to run? How long is the special going to run? I don't know how long it's going to run. I'm not sure they do at this point. May depend on the level of interest. This is a 2-speed crimper, so the first 2 or 3 pulls are hard, and then it gets easy. And then when I get close, it gets harder again. So the deal is a free crimper. This is what I would call the manual one, with a purchase of a set of fittings or hose ends, whatever you need, but you have to get $5,500 worth of hardware or hose. Now it gets a little harder pumping here when it gets closer. With this crimper, with the air compressor driven crimper, which I wish I would have got, it's $6,000 worth of fittings. Now it seems like a lot of fittings, and yeah, it is a lot of money. I'm not trying to deny that, but it is what you need. You need that many fittings anyway. I think I've probably got more than that. I would focus more on some adapter fittings if I were trying to decide what to buy, and less on a huge variety of hose ends themselves, right? I would try to stick mainly to the JIC hose ends, male and female. On the female side, get swivel, and get 2 or 3 different sizes as far as, this of course is for the 1/2-inch hose, but I'm saying, let's say you're using 3/8 hose, you have the hose end to fit this hose size, but you also have the size of the JIC connector. So usually the hose size is 3/8, and the connector could be 3/8 or 1/2-inch. Maybe, I don't think it'll go down to 1/4, but it could even go up to 5/8. Again, I would start with 3/8 hose and maybe not even get 1/2-inch hose to start with. Maybe some 1/4-inch hose. Hose is a lot cheaper by a whole roll instead of just buying small pieces. I use mostly 3/8, and I used 1/4 in the last video. Most of you, I get it. This just doesn't make financial sense to buy a crimper and to buy the fittings, or I guess in this case, buy the fittings and hose ends to get the crimper. In that case, discount hydraulic hose will help you a lot. In the last episode we did on this, we went through a lot of detail on the threading to try to show you and help you through how to do the threading. I think that's wise to go back maybe and watch that. And then there are some tools that DHH has that can help you through that. You can get those, a booklet, which is available online, by the way. You don't need to buy it. And then you can get some of these little plastic templates that'll help you identify the threads. As soon as you can identify the threads, measure the length of your hoses, you can buy them straight from discounthydraulichose.com and use code TTWT. For the crimper deal, there's a special link in the description that you need to use to be able to get the crimper, and then you have to use the TTWT crimper discount codes to get it.
Well, in a short hour day, folks, we've managed to completely destroy this guy's tractor. Added all kinds of unnecessary hydraulics to it. Just made a mess of everything. Horrible installation. But here
Thanks
we
for
are.
watching, everybody.
See you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. It can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. So here's what we put on. This is the Summit rear valve kit.
Yep.
I don't exactly know the model number, but it'll be EVK something, right? It's for the higher model, the more capable tractors, 3 Series, 4 Series, because it's got 1/2-inch hose. It's a little bit bigger configuration. We got a Power Beyond kit that we installed for him.
Yep.
And then we got some stuff on the front we'll talk about in a little bit. But what we found that these hoses were quite long, and so we cut them off, right?
Yep.
And we could have used them, but we just felt like they were looping way out here. And,
right.
And you know, they make these hoses a little bit too long, and that's so you can put the kit anywhere.
Right.
It makes some sense. But once we decided where we were going to mount it, we realized we could use them shorter. So we cut them off. we put some new ends on, I guess these two hoses, and then what this is the way the Power Beyond works. This connects either here or here. And this one then would just be totally disconnected. And that's the way we get this system pressured, yeah, and so you can remove it. Quite frankly, with this customer, I think this was overkill, Dave. I really think we probably should have just not used part of the Power Beyond and directly ran the hoses right up to here. It would have been a little bit cleaner for him, but yeah.
He's got it if he needs it.
This is one of the advantages of being able to make our own hoses is we can do that
what we
custom.
wanted.
So when it came to up front, we did make an extra hose. We talked about that earlier. Went down through there. Naturally, we made a mess with hydraulic fluid everywhere.
Tim didn't get one of the lines tight.
Dave is correct. I wish I had a comeback, but the truth just hurts.
You don't have a comeback. I tightened all these up. Notice how there's no mess up here?
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the front. Dave, what do we got here?
So we've got 3 switches that we installed. 2 work the rear Summit kit, and the front one is the switch we added for his front third function. The significance of these switches here is there's still momentary contacts, whereas this one is push and hold. And this is a 3-way switch.
Hopefully he can run an auger or a mower or whatever he wants to run hydraulically there.
Yep.
But at the same time, we didn't get rid of his joystick switch.
Nope, still has his joystick switch.
Okay, so we got our demonstration cylinder here.
Yep, I'm working the joystick.
Momentary.
See, no hands.
And now let it go ahead, leave it on, and it'll pull the tractor down, see?
Right.
Because it's still trying to do it. Okay? Now what happens if you have both of them at the same time?
So I'm gonna go up. This switch does nothing. So the first switch is the controlling switch.
So whichever one you activate first is the one that takes over, even if you try to do the opposite maneuver.
Yep.
Fascinating. Well, I think that's going to work fine. I asked the customer to buy the Summit maintain switch, and then that didn't turn out to work.
No.
And the reason it didn't is because it was on or off.
Right.
So it would stay in a locked position, on or off. We really need a 3-way maintain switch. We happen to have one on premise here from something else we've done that did the job.
Yep.
But since we ordered the wrong one, I thought maybe I'd take a little time here to show you the differences and how to get the right one. Let's start by going to the switches section of the Summit site. And then you can see that they have control valve switches and harnesses, and they have diverter valve switches and harnesses. The diverter is where you get the 1-way switch. So this is the maintain switch that we accidentally ordered, and it's a 1-way switch. So there's only one off and one on. Under the control valve switches, there's a maintain switch box right here, and this is the product that we need. That's the way we did this, is we got a maintain switch that fit in one of these knockouts. That way we could leave this alone. Now there's one other approach on the maintain switch that's really well integrated. I didn't even tell you about this, Dave. Johnny X has got it on it. Hydros Plus has a little replacement for the John Deere, the little round John Deere button.
Right.
And he's got a button in the front of that that's a maintain, right? And it spins it, I think, in only one direction, but it maintains. You can just punch that little button. That's the most integrated solution, and it's it comes with only one cable, and it works. It works, and it works well.
I've used it. I think it's very nice.
Yeah, and of course, once in a while you accidentally get it switched on.
Right.
But if you have the John Deere third function joystick handle, no matter which third function you have, you could use that maintain switch, and you can get that at hydrosplus.com. So, summithydraulics.com, use code TTWT for most of these kits. The crimper combo at Discount Hydraulic Hose. We just had to use all these today just to solve these problems. And then Hydros Plus, you could get maybe the optimal maintain switch for you. All we got to do is get the rear tire on and wash the rear end.
Yep, and she's good to go.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. The fear of the Lord adds length to life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. This time we really can be done without that bad attitude stuff.
Yeah, we can be done. So who's putting the tire on?
He really does have an attitude, doesn't he, today?
Oh, no.